The Lord's Supper is a Passover feast. When Jesus instituted the Lord's Supper, he and his disciples were celebrating Passover like they would every other year. During the Passover feast, the host recounts the Exodus story to the listeners. Let's read Exodus chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. Say therefore to the people of Israel, I am the Lord, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will deliver you from slavery to them, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great acts of judgment. I will take you to be my people, and I will be your God. And you shall know that I am the Lord your God, who has brought you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will bring you into the land that I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. I will give it to you for a possession. I am the Lord. This is the first time God institutes his covenant with the nation of Israel. This is the promise that would have been going through the minds of Jesus' disciples as he led the feast. One oddity with the way that Jews have historically observed the Passover is that they don't simply tell this story as if it took place long ago to completely different people. They tell the story with themselves as the subject. They don't say, the Lord rescued Israel from Egypt a long time ago. They say, the Lord rescued me from Egypt. This practice comes from Deuteronomy 6, where it says, when your son asks you in time to come, what is the meaning of the testimonies and the statutes and the rules that the Lord your God has commanded you? Then you shall say to your son, we were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. And practicing Jews even still do this today, where they say us instead of back then they were rescued. And so based on what we know about first century Israel, Jesus and his disciples were probably doing the same thing, saying, you rescued us from Egypt, even though they weren't literally in Egypt. And so all over Israel, first century Jews were thanking God for this, for rescuing them from Egypt. This idea of freedom from slavery is a theme of the Passover meal. And since it's a theme of the Passover meal, it's also a theme of the Lord's Supper. And Paul borrows this idea. But thanks be to God that you who were once slaves of sin have become obedient from the heart to the standard of teaching to which you were committed, and having been set free from sin, have become slaves of righteousness, in Romans 6. As we take the Lord's Supper today, we should think about the same thing. Instead of being in slavery to Egypt, we were in slavery to sin. But just like God rescued the Israelites from Egypt, he rescues us from sin through Jesus.